Welcome into A to Z Sports, prime time on a Thursday night. Hope everybody's feeling right. Hope you're living well. Hope you're enjoying this fantastic weather that we've been having. Tonight, we are going to talk about something that may be fantastic to think about it, but it's more fantasy than anything. The idea that Julio Jones will potentially be on the Tennessee Titans roster in 2021. We'll spend some time on that this evening because there was a recent report that came out. It's got you guys hot and bothered, and it's for absolutely no reason. I'll explain why over the course of this evening's show. We will also talk about Tim Tebow, Tebow Mania, now officially signed, sealed, and delivered to the Jacksonville Jags. That will be the topic of conversation over the course of the broadcast. And then, because it's the last show of the primetime week, we will do This Is a Free Site, the best thing that I saw on the internet over the course of the last 5 days. And now that more of you, well, we have to share the show first before I get ahead of myself. Let me know if you guys would be so kind. I would appreciate you guys sharing this show. If you're with us on Twitter, go ahead and retweet it. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, very simple. Those three little dots allow you to retweet the show. If you're with us on Facebook Live, it's share now to public. In fact, I will do that on my Facebook page right now. Share now to public. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube, just hit like and subscribe to A to Z Sports YouTube channel. The same for our fine friends on Twitch, if you would like to get your Twitch friends involved in the broadcast as well. And now that more of you are here, like Brad, Evan, Lewis, Alonzo, Ryan, Van, Xavier, everybody in tonight on the primetime show, we can go ahead and begin officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Primetime from the Draftkings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford, the name that you know, the brand that you trust for nearly 40 years. Since 1983, Two Rivers Ford has been providing to you exceptional customer service. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. You know this. That is where you go to cash in on all of the incredible promotions that they are providing to you. And I'll tell you about one specifically later on in the show. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Your dream address without the stress is what they can get for you. The real estate market is crazy right now. So if you are selling, sell for more with the Ashton team at GaryAshton.com. Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK. That's Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of them, each and every one of your HVAC needs. They will put you in a position to be in your comfort zone this summer. Brymak Mechanical at Brymak.com. Texas Sports 1015 says, we aren't here for your cold water, Buck. Well, listen, you guys, I try to be as transparent with you as humanly possible, okay? We like to keep it real. I'm not going to gaslight you and say, yes, of course Julio Jones will be a Titan, because the odds of that happening are very, very slim. Now, there was a report today about teams who would most likely be interested in Julio and a team who may be exploring the possibility of Julio. And we'll get into all of that tonight. Before we do that, though, and I've got the financials for the Titans in front of me as well, so we'll go through salary cap numbers, the top 51 contracts as it relates to the salary cap numbers. But first, I have to ask you a question. Which NFL team is in the best position to trade for Julio Jones? Now, if you want to get Homer, you can get Homer. But I'll tell you that the Titans probably pretty low on that list, just to be realistic. Your Two Rivers Ford take, which NFL team is in the best position, is best equipped to sign, well, to trade for, and then probably have to restructure and sign Julio Jones to a new deal? Hey, Buck, says Aaron Goff, I think we will sign Julio. That is a good idea. Well, Aaron, I love that. I love the optimism. It is largely misplaced, but I appreciate how you're approaching the subject matter tonight. Which NFL team is in the best position to trade for Julio? Ed Wilder says LMAO doesn't mean anything to them, but I'll give some of my salary if I have to. Hi, Bougie Buck, says Denise. Hello, Denise. Thank you. I like that, Bougie Buck. Which team is most prepared or is in the best position to be able to to trade for Julio Jones? Teverin says it's called restructures. Lawan, Tannehill, and Saffold said they are okay with restructuring. Well, Lawan didn't say that, and Tannehill didn't say that. Saffold did, but you are that is misinformation. Those other two players have not stated that they have that they are interested in restructuring. Now, would they be? Probably, but here's the thing: it's not whether the players are okay with it or not. John can just do it. You know what I'm saying? It's John Robinson that doesn't want to restructure. So let me give you guys the report, and we'll take some of your answers. The question is, which team is in the best position to trade for Julio? I see Dean Buckwalter saying the Packers. Titans for Life says the Patriots or the Jags. Ooh, that would stink for you if he went to a team within the division. America's African says the Patriots. B Groom 1 on Twitter says the 49ers. So yeah, Teverin, I mean, I understand what you're saying about it, but it doesn't, it's your GM that doesn't want to do it. The players, he can just straight up restructure it. Like they don't have to necessarily agree to the deal. Now, would their cooperation be helpful? Sure. But that's not something that like Robinson is beholden to. If he wanted to restructure, he could have done it by now. It's his unwillingness to push big cap hits further down the road, i.e. Kevin Byard, that is kind of holding up the idea that they could restructure and trade for Julio Jones. Because it's not just about freeing up the money, it's what you have to give up in draft capital as well. So you're essentially mortgaging a good bit of your future for one dude who's 32 years old. But we'll get into all of that. Your Two Rivers Ford take here on a Thursday night. While you guys give me your answer, I will tell you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford. They have announced the new electric F-150. It'll be available in 2022. But Two Rivers Ford is your home for the best American-made Ford vehicles in Middle Tennessee. Award-winning customer service, an incredibly friendly, non-commissioned sales staff, so you experience no pressure throughout the car buying experience. Two Rivers Ford is my preferred car dealership of choice, not just because I drive a Ford, but because I love the people that are out there. John Barker, Matthew Barker, my friend Tammy Jacobs. I've worked with some of their salespeople before. I'm going to be working much more deeply with their sales staff as I get ready to get rid of my 2012 Ford Escape and upgrade, probably with a 2021 Ford Bronco, or at this point, maybe a 2022. I haven't decided yet how much longer I want to let sugar last my 2012 Ford Escape. But Two Rivers Ford is the place that you need to be, or at least be considering to give your business to, because they do it better than anybody else. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Who is best equipped to trade for Julio Jones? Sadly, I'd say the Colts could make the move, and that's scary, says Andrew Ferris. Yeah, the Colts do need wide receiver help. They don't have anybody who's particularly proven right now, and they do have the financial flexibility to add him. But I don't think that the Colts are in the Julio Jones business right now. Teverin agrees that they can take the contract and offer picks. Philip Seabury says if we do get Julio, we would definitely solve our offensive problem. I mean, does he play tight end? Because I think you've got more problems. You'd have an unsettled offensive line. You do need probably an upgrade at wide receiver, but you still don't have a tight end that is capable of starting 17 games of a regular season. Evan C. White says, don't know everyone's financials, but the Packers need him for Rodgers' sake. I don't know, but I know it's not us, says Xavier. Well, here's the list. So this was a report by Jeff Schultz, and Jeff Schultz covers the Atlanta Falcons for The Athletic. So Jeff basically went through a common misconceptions about the Julio Jones situation and why the Falcons are interested in trading him. Now, he does reiterate that they are interested in trading him. But here are, and I'll read you the exact quote, here are the reasons why the market for Jones will be limited to a degree. I'll read you the blurb. Many teams would like Jones on their roster, but not many realistically can trade for him. The Falcons' hope is that enough teams, think 3 to 5, express interest to create a market. Think of 1, teams with enough cap space to absorb Jones' $15.3 million base salary. By the way, it's a $23 million cap hit, not just the 15.3 base. Number 2, contending teams that believe he would put them over the top. So that's the Titans. Number 3, young teams looking to take the next step. Among the teams that could fall into these categories, the Ravens, the 49ers, Patriots, Colts, and Chargers. One league source said the Titans also may, keyword may, show interest, but they are close to the cap ceiling. So really, it's not new information from Jeff on Julio Jones, but it's a recent article and it's got everybody pissed off. Who is in the best position to trade for the services of Julio Jones? Let me know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. I had a conversation on my radio show on 104.5 The Zone here in Nashville about Julio with my good friend Diana Rossini of ESPN. Because, for obvious reasons, I've been trying to figure out whether this is something that they're going to actually do or whether it's even something that's being discussed at this point. And I have not yet heard anything. I do not know, and producer Reed hates when I do this because it's a bit of a cop-out because we always, in our pre-show meeting, we put together the questions for you guys and my answer so we can share that with you. And my answer tonight is there are a great many teams who are in position to trade for the services of Julio Jones. But as Diana Rossini and I discussed a week ago today on my radio show, the Tennessee Titans are not one of them. So let's discuss. What the hell am I supposed to make of Julio Jones not on the Atlanta Falcons schedule this year?
I know. I wanted to spice up your Twitter.
Why did
it was getting boring today. There weren't enough surveys by 10 a.m. So let's go back to just the chatter before the draft.
Yeah.
So I had heard that Atlanta was open for business in dealing Julio Jones. And it was something that they'd been open to for a while. And it just happened to come up before the draft because that would make a lot of sense for teams to make trades go down and be able to pick up a receiver at that point. 32 years old, lots of injuries. You kind of wonder, part of me wonders, why would they want to get rid of him? This is still Julio Jones, but this may be a reflection of how Arthur Smith sees this offense now, which is he's got weapons. He's got some. He may not need Julio.
Yeah.
And the price that he comes with the age and the injuries, as we're saying, and he doesn't practice all the time. There's a lot of little things that go with Julio Jones. So Atlanta is open and they're calling around too to see if teams will bite. It's just, do I think Tennessee's in the Julio Jones market business? No. I mean, it would be an interesting deal. Here's Arthur Smith, who comes from the Tennessee family, dealing a receiver who he doesn't think can make his team better to his former team that would bring him on because they think he can.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. I feel like if anything, there would be trust between the two. Not that there would be working together, but don't you think that they would understand, like, all right, well, we're kind of all on the same page. We all want the same type of player. And I think type of player is important, going back to what we were saying with who the Tennessee Titans are, based on personality, identity, and who the guys are on this team. And I've been around Julio a lot, and I've obviously been around the Titans a lot. And it would shock me. It would really surprise me if this became a real thing. I don't get the sense. I've reached out to people. No one's told me that the Tennessee Titans are interested in Julio Jones. I have not heard any of that.
Yeah.
But I know the gossip mill would love to run with it.
So that's Diana Rossini of ESPN, basically confirming what I have been able to discern locally, which is they're not really talking about it right now. They're just not at the point where they have legitimate interest in Julio Jones. Have they done their due diligence and called to see what something like that might cost? Yes. Are they capable of creating the room to add Julio Jones? 100%. But Julio Jones, at this point in his career, for the kind of money that he's going to cost, on top of the kind of draft capital that you would need to give up to get him, it's just not there right now. Could it change? Sure, because Jared Clark says smoke and mirrors. And I look at this a little bit like I look at the NFL draft. Like I look at the pre-draft like rumor mill, right? Where everybody is trying to throw smoke to throw people off the trail of who they're trying to select in the draft. This Julio thing's got a little bit of vibes to it. Dirk at Time says restructure Ben Jones, trade a second and Evans for Julio. I mean, who says Dean Pease wants Rashaan Evans? I don't think that is a prevailing thought at all down in Atlanta. And Ben Jones wouldn't be a restructure because he's in the last year of his deal. If anything would happen to Ben Jones, and by the way, that's only like, Ben Jones has a $7 million cap hit this year. So that's not nearly enough. You would have to do several other things outside of extending Ben Jones to alleviate the cap hit, Durka. So you're way the hell off on that. What about Henry wanting him on the team, says Hitman 2011. I mean, AJ Brown wanted Elijah Moore on the team. What good did that do? The Titans waited 2 more days to take a wide receiver. They don't care about what the players think. They don't care what you think. They don't care what I think about all of this. This is a situation where, is it possible? Yes. Anything is possible, right? The Nashville Predators were dead in the water 2 months ago and found their way in the playoffs with a 0.34% chance of making the postseason. Anything is possible. Could they decide at the last minute, like they did with Jadeveon Clowney, to do a restructure right before the deal? And by the way, none of this is happening for at least another 3 weeks. June the 2nd is the date that Julio Jones, or after June 2nd, would be the timeline for the Falcons to move Julio. So they still have plenty of time to get their house in order, but we're talking about this because it was in a write-up on The Athletic today. He's dealt with injuries. He does not want to go to a run-based offense based on what Diana has told us. And I've never covered Julio. Diana has, and knows him much, much better than I do. So I'm going to take her word for it. This is not a situation that Julio Jones makes the most sense for out of all of the potential situations that Julio Jones could land in. It's got you guys all fired up. Donovan says that was a completely different situation, dum-dum. They had the money. No, they didn't have the money. They did not have the money with Jadeveon Clowney. They had to restructure Kevin Byard to create the money to get Jadeveon Clowney. And now you have Kevin Byard counting against your salary cap for $15 million plus. Does that feel good to you? Do you like the idea that Kevin Byard counts against your salary cap for $15 million this year? Of course you don't, especially with the way that he played last year. Imagine if, and I know that Tannehill and Henry are infallible at this point in their careers, but if their cap hit was to go up because they took restructures and you're dealing with a 32-year-old Julio Jones who has several years left on his existing deal, so you would probably have to re-sign him for a different amount of money and a substantial amount of money on top of forfeiting draft capital, dum-dum. You are looking at a situation where there are so many reasons not to do it versus the one reason to do it, which is, obviously go out and win a Super Bowl. Because listen, I'm fully aware of the fact that if AJ Brown gets hurt, the Titans probably have the worst pass as we sit here today on May the 20th. Things very much could change. They still have yet to add a tight end, and I think they're going to do that. I still think they're going to add help at wide receiver at this point. But the Titans are one A.J. Brown injury away from having the worst pass-catching group, tight ends and wide receivers in professional football. So, no, dum-dum, that's not how it goes. Not you, Buck. You were actually making a great argument. I agree with you. Oh, I apologize, Donovan. You're arguing. Forgive me. I can't. This is the problem with the way that my chat is set up. I can't. I see all four of the Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. They're all in one column for me, and they scroll in, but I don't have the ability to see when you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Corey D. Jackson says, the key is we are a run-first offense. He ain't coming. Well, I mean, he doesn't really have a choice in the situation. If they trade for him, they trade for him. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for a variety of different reasons. But you guys have been around, and listen, we have a lot of fun on the radio show because Diana comes on. Head coach of the Falcons, Arthur Smith, has been on. You'll hear from him here in a second because I made him an offer, like the Godfather. I made him an offer that I thought he couldn't refuse, and you'll hear that here in a second on Julio Jones right after I tell you about Draftkings Sportsbook, America's top-rated Sportsbook app. It's playoff time. Big stakes, bigger promotions. It's time to hammer the over and score some cash. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a chance to lower the over-under on the Clippers versus the Mavericks. All players who place a bet on that game will have a hand in lowering the under on the Dallas versus Los Angeles basketball game. That's right. For every 1,500 players who bet the over on the Mavs versus the Clippers, the over-under will drop by 1 point. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code A2Z Sports when you sign up to hammer the over. For every 1,500 people that bet the over in the Clippers versus the Mavs, the line will decrease by 1 point. Yes, this is your chance to improve the odds of the over hitting, so tell your friends and family it's a team effort. Hammer the over and improve your odds of doubling your money with promo code A2Z Sports for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. Max $25 wager. One per customer. Offer ends 5/23/21. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. DraftKings Sportsbook. So this report from Jeff Schultz, really with no new information other than the information that we already knew, that the Titans are not talking about it right now, but they may potentially be interested if things fall into line in their way. So I had Arthur Smith on the radio show, who's now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And this was the week after the draft. So it's been almost a month at this point since Art came on the radio show. But I try for you guys, on behalf of you guys, on behalf of John Robinson, on behalf of the Tennessee Titans organization, with absolutely zero power, I made Arthur Smith an offer for the services of Julio Jones.
All right, Coach, the last one for you. We will send you Vrabel's chest pad, Taylor Lewan's bus, and maybe a first-round draft pick for Julio Jones. Do you accept?
You're not going to catch me in any of that kind of. I knew there was something coming from me, Buck. I don't get in those hypotheticals. Maybe Chaz Braves that. I'd love to hear his answer if you give him a hypothetical trade like that.
What are you kidding? Are you kidding me, Arthur? He would if he could reach through the Zoom and choke slam one of us by now. He would.
That'd be fantastic.
I mean, is the Atlanta media as inefficient with Zoom as we are? Because it's a plague here. It's 14 months of the pandemic at this point, and we still can't figure out how to unmute ourselves. Like, that's a testament to Mike Vrabel's patience.
I mean, I would pay money for you to ask him a question like that. Like, can we get like a GoFundMe? They start like a charity here. I will pay for you to ask him a question like that.
Well, listen, he's
on. I need the comic relief. Like,
yeah, you got a lot of new stresses in your life as a head coach. You could use a little
So that was Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith on my radio show from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. If you want to check out the podcast for great interviews like Art and Diana Rossini, you can subscribe, rate, review to the Buck Rising Show wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We need Julio. We can't always rely on Henry to win every game. Well, lucky for you. You have a franchise quarterback who you can rely on and a number one wide receiver. And you're going to find out how good that quarterback is and how much of that money he's worth with a little worse receiving group around him. But agree with Arthur, would pay if you asked. Listen, Mike is looking for the opportunity to swing on any of us. And I know Arthur a little bit, and I've got a good relationship with Arthur. So, I would probably do that to Vrabel too, because Vrabel likes to have fun, depending on what kind of mood he's in. And I know that I kept things very professional with Art for the vast majority of that interview. So I had to get one off. I have to have a little fun. And that, providing you guys an answer. Raymond says that was hilarious. I don't get why the Falcons would even think about trading him, says Simon. Simon, they can't afford him either. For the same reason that the Titans, it's going to be very, very difficult to add him. That's the reason that the Falcons try and get rid of him. You can't pay him anymore. And also they have Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and an offense that's got legitimate weapons. They don't necessarily need Julio Jones the way that they used to, especially at his age and the money that he's costing. Let's move on to something else that we don't need in our lives. Tim Tebow officially signed a contract today to become a tight end for the Jacksonville Jags. You could have had Tim Tebow on your roster. Donovan said he played 9 games this year. Ivan says Tannehill already proven worthy of the contract. Oh no, I'm for sure, Ivan. But you're going to see how much you can maximize that spend on Ryan Tannehill to see what he can do with a little worse, a substantially worse wide receiver and tight end group. Let's move on though. And the question that I want to ask you guys about Tim Tebow is, what percentage chance do you give Tim of making the Jags' final 53-man roster? Let me know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. We will discuss together in the comment section. While you guys do that, I will tell you about Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK, Brymak.com. That's where you go for satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. That is where you go to get in your comfort zone as the seasons begin to change. Brymak Mechanical is the best in the business for a reason. 3 locations servicing Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. BRYMAK, Brymak.com. Brymak Mechanical. Trust them with your HVAC needs commercially or residentially. They'll hook you up. All right, Tim Tebow, what percentage chance do you give him of making the roster this year? Mark Hankins on Twitter says 0. 90. Josh Dietrich on Facebook Live says 60%. Aaron Goff is going 99, all but 1%. Thaddeus, Daryl's talking to Thaddeus. He's not talking to me. And Bizarro PK says, I'm ready for Julio and Brymak. Well, you can go check him out. Jeff Charles says the way that they are advertising his jersey, about 69%. Nice. 100%. That ink is dry, says Corey D. Jackson. 20% at best for Brad Lifford. So it's going to be like Bigfoot. It's already started. They might as well have had a helicopter tracking this man today, because Tim Tebow signed a 1-year deal to become a Jacksonville Jaguar. He's now in the AFC South. He's rocking number 85. Welcome the latest tight end to the Jags, Timothy Tebow. No other 5th-string tight end would have the kind of media coverage that he's going to end up getting. He's kind of tubby for a tight end. Listen, Tebow is anything but tubby. He's cut the hell up. He will make the preseason fun and then gone, says Mark Hankins, excuse me. Lewis gives him a 15%. Mark Cotter says 100%. We'll say we'll push ticket sales for sure, says Stacy. The Jags need it. I mean, maybe if this was like 10 years ago, the Jags would need the pub of bringing in Tim Tebow, but I really don't think that he is somebody who is. I mean, Tim Tebow's going to sell jerseys, and people are going to buy them, and it's all going to be, for profit, and it's a freak show at this point with Tim Tebow, and it's not Tim Tebow's fault. Like, I'm not mad at Tim, I'm mad at Urban Meyer, but I mean, I'll give him a 15% chance of making the roster. 15% chance of making the regular season roster, just because, I mean, for the same reason that he got the job. Same reason that he got the job, he knows somebody. His head coach at Florida is now the coach of the NFL team that he signed with. Titans for Life says he's stirring the pot himself. He should be declining the media interviews. Is he doing? I haven't seen him do any media interviews, Titans for Life, but maybe I've missed out on that part of Tebow mania. I wake up every morning mad at Tebow, says Evan C. White. Go Vols. I mean, like I said, I don't blame Tebow for this. Like, he clearly wants to compete in the NFL, and that's all well and good. But Tim Tebow's got a 15% chance of making this roster, and it's really only because he knows somebody, which is unfortunate that the NFL is still operating in that kind of a space. Davidson says Tim deserves some blame. I mean, does he? Like, what is Tebow doing other than he wants to pursue a dream? Like, and everything. And I don't know Tim Tebow. I've met him one time in my life, and it was at a Georgia Vanderbilt game when I think the show is called SEC Nation, that used to be with Marcus Spears and Laura Rutledge and Paul Feinbaum and Tebow. And Tebow was here for a Vandy Georgia game. It's like 2 years ago. and he, perfectly nice guy. Everything that I hear about him from people who know him better than me and my friends at ESPN, he's incredibly genuine. So like, I don't think Tebow's a fraud. I think he really wants to do this. The problem is people are letting him do this just because, like, the idea that Delanie Walker can't get a workout in the NFL. And I understand that Delanie's got 4 years on Tebow. Delanie's going to be 37. Tebow's 33. The idea that Delanie Walker, who has played football, professional football in the last 2 years, when Tebow can get a job right out the gate, get a contract right out the gate after being out of football for 9, that's offensive to me. And it's not Tebow's fault. Tebow went out for a job. Somebody gave him the job. The people that gave him the job, it's their fault. Team Tebow is just, he's just a circus. Yes, he easily had the choice to do this when he was starting to fade out of the league, but he didn't. Okay, well, that's a fair. Reed Besh says 100% chance of making the roster. Our excellent producer Reed at Besh Please is where you can follow him on Twitter. Says 100% chance of making the roster because of his locker room speeches. I mean, guys are gonna look at Tim Tebow and say, just, they know him as Tim Tebow, the AA baseball player, not Tim Tebow as Heisman Trophy winner or play. Did he win a playoff game? Tebow did win a playoff game against the Steelers, right? And then, it was terrible to watch, but he did Tim Tebow things. And by some apparently higher power, he was able to pull off a victory against the Steelers. I remember watching that playoff game. That was my freshman year of college. I've been out of college for 6 years now. I haven't been a freshman in college for 10. That's the last time Tim Tebow was a relevant NFL player. It's a problem. Buck, your face is growing and you can't keep blaming it on quarantine. Well, no, I've got a beard, so it makes my face look a little rounder. Focus, go to hell. What do you mean? Let me live my life. Let me live, dog. So the face is getting a little rounder. I've got facial hair. I've got a pretty thick beard. My jawline is still there, clearly, for anybody who's looking. In fact, I'm pretty lined up. Shout out my barber. My face is not getting that much rounder. So yeah, kick rocks. Evan C. White says, Buck, how do you feel about going after Hayden Hurst since Atlanta has Kyle Pitts? I mean, I don't think Hayden Hurst is that much better, but maybe he's a little better. He's a more well-rounded tight end than what you have on the roster right now. London Titan says the beard looks good. Thank you. They need to quit hating on you, Buck, says Amar. I mean, no, listen, if people hate me, I'm doing something right. Will the beard get a check mark before you do, says London Titan? Probably 100%. I hope that Tebow sells the most jerseys, says Brad. Well, we can all be happy for Tim Tebow together. Now, something that made me very happy today. Now, I know we've played a lot of video from the radio show, but there's a lot of funny stuff that happens on the radio show. So if you're not hanging out there, you're missing out. But the question is, the best thing that I saw on social media this week. This is a free site. The question is, do I hate kids? Yes or no? Do I hate kids? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We will discuss together. Do I hate children? That is the question that I'm asking you. While you guys weigh in on that, I'll let you know on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch about the fine folks at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. That is where you go for your dream address without the stress. That is where you go to sell your home for more if you are in the market to sell. And if you're in the market to sell, you're going to make a killing with the Ashton team because the real estate market is hot right now. Gary Ashton, the best in the business, the official real estate agent of the Titans, the Preds, and A to Z Sports Prime Time. Trust the Ashton team with your business at GaryAshton.com. Do I hate children? Yes or no? Evan C. White says yes, but not cats. I respect it. Josh Dietrich says, love Buck's honest opinions and mostly factual information. Well, listen, I do try my best, Josh, but I have gotten it wrong before. And when I get it wrong, I like to be as transparent as humanly possible. So I appreciate that analysis because it's true. I have gotten things wrong before. You hate most things. Kids are just included, says Bizarro PK. Puka says secretly no. And that's an interesting position. Being cat dad, part preparation, she adds. I don't know about that. Josh Dietrich says no. Buck loves the kids. Buck love the kids, says Corey D. Jackson. At my age, you're still a kid, so no. Buck waiting on the child versus dog pay-per-view fight. Dear God, no. Hate's a strong word, says Christopher Barnes. Hate is a strong word. So I wouldn't say that I outright hate them, but I definitely am made uncomfortable by them. And this latest example happened on my radio show today on 104.5 The Zone, the Buck Rising show from 10 to 1. We had a what appeared to be we thought it was a prank call because my producer Lucas and producer Andrew, who work in the studio while I'm doing the radio show, they kept getting calls, and we get a lot of calls over the course of the radio show. Some of you guys who interact here call into the radio show, and we always love to hear from you. But they just kept getting a call from what appeared to be a child. And so finally, because I kept seeing producer Lucas, have to pick up the phone, hang up the phone, pick up the phone, hang up the phone. And it was like getting in the way of him doing his job. And so I asked him, what's going on? And he says, well, there's this little girl, we think, her name, we're pretty sure is Grace. She appears to be prank calling the show. And I said, well, do you want to put her on air? Because at some point this has to end. This has to stop. I need you to be producing, not just picking up the phone and dealing with a small crank caller, for lack of a better term. And this is what it looked like.
What do you suggest?
Maybe you can get through to Grace.
Okay, why don't we put Grace on the air? Is this Grace?
Okay, so.
Hello.
Hi. Okay.
Is this Grace?
Most likely so, okay.
This is well, Grace, it's been lovely to have you a part of the show today. We appreciate you calling our producer Lucas, but do you have any opinions, Grace, on LeBron James? Perhaps.
I can't.
You can't.
My birthday's coming over, so.
Did you say you have a birthday coming up?
Yeah.
What birthday is it?
Mine?
Did you say 5?
No, it's my birthday.
I know, but which birthday? Like how many years old are you going to be, Grace?
4 and 5. My grandma's birthday coming over.
Well, in fact, Grace, we have somebody here who would like to wish you a happy birthday. Lucas, do we have Stephen A. Smith available? Can we wish Grace a happy birthday, please?
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy birthday, Grace. Thank you for calling the show.
What just happened here?
What did we just do?
So I don't know how to talk to children. She just called into the radio show. She just kept calling, and like her dad ended up calling in. Her name is actually Sophia. I guess Grace is her princess name. So young Sophia, 3-year-old Sophia, who turns 4 apparently on Sunday, kept calling the radio show, and we just had to let Stephen A. Smith wish her a happy birthday. And I don't know how to talk to children. Like I just don't know how to deal with them. So that is why we had to have Stephen A. Smith wish her a happy birthday. I handled it as best I could. The question is, do I hate children? Yes or no? Lance says, LOL, Buck was going off, and the guy agreed. I bet the guy was hurting inside. I'm not sure what we're talking about there, Lance, but yeah, that is I probably did. Tyler Ross says, hey, you need to have a segment with kids every week, bro. That was good. I mean, what, sports talk for kids? It would be bad. I talk to them like I'm grown ass adult, like they're grown ass adults. I don't know how to communicate with children. They make me wildly uncomfortable, but I thought we handled that pretty well today. She told you it was Grace because she was catfishing you, says London. Yes. Lewis asks, serious question, Buck. Have you ever sat down in a room with a child for longer than 15 minutes? Can't knock it if you haven't experienced it. Yeah, I mean, I've been around kids for extended amounts of time, but like, I don't know what to do with them. Like what I'm awkward with children. My girlfriend likes to tell the story about we were driving to her sister's place. They were having us over for dinner or something like that. And her sister has a neighbor, probably the same age as young Grace / Sophia that catfished me on the radio show today. So we're walking by, and this little boy is sitting in a treehouse on the other side of the fence from her sister's from her sister's house. And I see him and I'm like, well, he's looking at me. I should probably say something. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And my girlfriend Dara turns around and thinking I'm talking to like, a grown ass man. And no, it's just this little 3-year-old. And I'm basically, about to strike up. So great weather. Strike up a conversation like great weather we're having, right? I don't know how to deal with children. So Lewis, I have, they don't, it probably makes me a bad person. I don't know, because everybody who has children say they're the best thing in the world. But like some of us just aren't meant to be parents. And every interaction with children that I have tells me that I should probably not be a parent because I don't know how to deal with them. Buck would be like Adam Sandler and Big Daddy feeding the kids plates of ketchup. Buck is a deer in the headlights when it comes to kids. I mean, really, it just does not work for me. It takes patience with kids, says Stacy. You're in here so often, you have to know. Is patience a strong suit for me? Like 100% not. Chad Hagen says, you'll figure it out when you get one of your own. No, I mean, I'm very, and listen, this is a conversation. Like, I'm not married. I have a long-term girlfriend. Me and Dara have been dating for 2 years. And I stop myself from saying like, I'll never have children because I wouldn't be the one having the kid, right? It would be whomever I'm having the child with because I'm not physically capable of bearing children. And like the last time we did that bit on the radio show, Dara was like, no, you idiot. You're not capable of having kids. How are you out here making the decision like you're going to have the kid or not? And the woman would be the one having the kid. And I'm like, yeah, that's a fair point. So let me not speak from a place of ignorance. But like are we ever going to talk football against this, Christopher? Christopher, we just spent 35 minutes talking about football. It's enough. It's a Thursday. It's the last show of the week. Like, what do you want from me? Enjoy something outside of sports. Talk sports. Shut up. Buck, Savior. Bucks pull-out game better be Ford tough. Yeah, I can't be Phillip Rivers with it. But I believe in birth control, and Phillip Rivers does not. Are we getting the birds and the bees talk from Buck? No, we're just going to hear from young Grace, who called into my radio show. I talk sports for 5.5 hours a day. I could use a break every once in a while. Just indulge me a little bit. Like, when I have to interact with children on the radio show.
What do you suggest?
Maybe you can get through to Grace.
Okay. Why don't we put Grace on the air? Is this Grace?
Okay, so.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, guys.
Is this Grace?
Most likely so, guys.
This is Grace, it's been lovely to have you a part of the show today. We appreciate you calling our producer Lucas, but do you have any opinions, Grace, on LeBron James? Perhaps.
I can't.
You can't.
My birthday's coming over, so.
Did you say you have a birthday coming up?
Yeah.
What birthday is it?
Mine?
Did you say 5?
No, it's my birthday.
I know, but which birthday? Like how many years old are you going to be, Grace?
4 and 5. My grandma's birthday coming over.
Well, in fact, Grace, we have somebody here who would like to wish you a happy birthday. Lucas, do we have Stephen A. Smith available? Can we wish Grace a happy birthday, please?
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy birthday, Grace. Thank you for calling the show.
What just happened here?
What did we just do?
It's honestly the best. Bizarro PK says Buck is cringeworthy, and I'm here for it. I really am. I don't know how to deal with children. It's just plot twist. This is the little girl that called Vrabel the beautiful man, trying to tell you you're not as good looking. How great would that be? He's just talking about an event that happened during his sports talk radio show, says Josh. Oh, so Josh is talking to somebody else. Yeah, who's the slap that was in here telling me talk sports? Are we ever going to talk football again? I literally talk football 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, because primetime's on Sunday. And he says, peace out, boring. Christopher, nothing about the numbers tonight indicates that I need you. Like, I just don't. So with that said, enjoy your weekend. Christopher has already got a head start on us. I had a good time tonight. Maybe Christopher did not, but if there's one person who's in here complaining and everybody else is having a good time, the hell do I care? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I will not be on A to Z Sports Primetime on Sunday because my little sister is graduating from high school. So producer Reed and I will have the evening off, but know when we come back refreshed and ready to go on Monday that we will not be tired yet.